Happy Friday, everybody, or as happy as it's going to be. All things considered, the news. It just keeps driving you down. I'm just watching this latest news snippet that came out. This obvious, like, hit piece. Obvious. See, just like, what is it, like, less than a minute into the video, I'm slurring the words. Oh no. I need my asthma medication. It's for my own good. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, how are you on this lovely Friday night? I hope you're doing better than the victims, the many, many victims. Injustice, unjustified, um, you know, forgotten mostly. I mean, the fact that, like, they're talking about some of the things that they're talking about. I'll spare you the specifics, but to give you like a little bit of a hint into like the goings on, like people are gonna throw around this word a lot, demonic, right? They're gonna throw it around a lot, and in many like instances, maybe it can be used for sensationalization. So it's just like, okay, so this guy like he murdered his wife in like a brutal fashion, or this guy ran and did some like horrible things with a car or something like that, right? To sensationalize it. Like let's say in the case of like, in Canada we had this um incel terrorist copycat who like basically went out, stole like a rental van, ran over a bunch of people off a young street, and when confronted by the cops or what a police officer, he feigned using a firearm to, well, get shot. Suicide by cop, as they say, right? And wow, like it's almost as if like the desperation of people and like this whole scandal like coming out has created this thing that like a video comes out with a bunch of stuff talking about Donald Trump and the vote um, fixing, I guess, right? Voter fraud. And he posts a video, but there's a snippet inside of the video of Obama and his wife depicted as monkeys, and then there's other, politicians depicted as various characters in the Lion King um, musical. But it was like this kind of weird aside where, you know, it was just thrown in there, kind of like they were trying to mention Donald Trump's name, or like one something like 100, and I was holding my breath on that because I was just like, what the fuck, man? Like, is he actually guilty of anything, or is this like they're just trying to talk to him? Is his name brought up and stuff? Because we found out Elon Musk is guilty. We found out that like one of Trump's closest aides is guilty, right? Like the rabbit hole goes fucking deep, dude. And we have to match their cowardice with hatred. Like the fact that like a man can get on a soapbox or like a high pedestal and criticize other people while being one of the like biggest scumbags. It's just like that hypocritical like scoffing and laughing at you, which is also kind of telling because it's like Elon Musk made a tweet where it's like only people like something like along the lines. I don't know exactly the quote. I don't feel like looking up because I don't give a shit. Here's what he thinks. He's a fucking pedophile. Like who cares? Who cares what these people think? But like what he said was, only rich people can understand blah 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 or some shit like that. And it's just like yeah. When did he make this? February 5th. And then on the 6th. All that shit comes out about him being like, yo, he wants to jam with his homie. Fucking yo, man. They want to go to the island so badly. Like all these people, not just Elon Musk, but Bill Gates, all these other government officials, and Jay Z's on the run. What the fuck happened? Holy fuck! And that's why, like, these people. Oh, and speaking of Bill Gates, right? So I'm getting like this pop up on Instagram, and I don't know how true it is, but they're saying that Elon Musk. I mean, sorry, not Elon Musk. Bill Gates and Jeffrey Epstein were like practicing this pandemic simulation in 2017, 2 years before the actual pandemic. And it's kind of like this weird realization how much power and sway rich people have over you, where, you know, they can just control your governments, and then the governments, you'll lean on banks, and then the banks lean on the citizens, right? At least in Canada with Justin Trudeau and shit. He's like dating Katy Perry and stuff, and Katy Perry's like some like other soulless, like, you know, Hollywood star. It just like took some like house off of this guy. I don't know how he swindled him. Something about like he changed his. I think he changed his mind, and then like I don't know, he just wanted the contract so badly because having one house isn't enough if you're dealing with like rich ass people like this. Elon Musk said it himself. Like these people will get off to like this ritualistic human sacrifice thing, and then like, you know, we're gonna get like this like cease and desist from like Katy Perry and Justin Trudeau. It's like, hey man, we're not involved in this. Like turns out like, yo, if you go to the Epstein files enough, you'll probably find your dad and shut the fuck up. Yo, this thing is like, it's so gutter that Jay Z ran out of the fucking country. And then 50 Cent's like, yo, I gotta fucking follow up on this. He's just like rubbing his hands together, man. Ah, damn, some things change, and some things will always stay the same. I wonder where Ja Rule is. Oh, dude. Well, like, I should laugh at this because, again, like, you're gonna hear a lot of these news reports, even YouTubers talking about the contents of this Epstein file release. I am in no position to, like, you know, talk about those things. You know, I'm gonna know, like, you know, I'm not an American citizen. It doesn't involve me directly. I don't want to be involved in it. I've always been outspoken, and I've always hated pedophiles. So like for me to comb through this, that's why like I'm scared. Like if Trump is implicated, I gotta cut Trump loose. If like you know what I mean? Like, it's like one of those things where, and I don't think Trump's implicated because of like the aforementioned, like I said before. Like why would he rely on somebody else to do something that he could do himself, right? And then why would he want like little kids when he's like, there's no indicator that like, he's like that kind of a guy. You know what I mean? He's just, you know, a little bit obtuse. He's a little bit, you know, kind of like an uncle. You know what I mean? Like an overbearing presence, but like people just can't handle it because they can't handle a real man. You know what I mean? Like it's like the juxtaposition of like you get Macaulay Culkin and then Donald Trump in Home Alone, and then like Macaulay Culkin would question his press. He's like, "Yeah, I don't mind if you just like digitally remove Donald Trump out of this movie because of all the horrible things that he's done." Meanwhile, these horrible ass people that are getting deported do some like fucked up crimes and shit, and you turn the other cheek. And this is why, especially since this Epstein file shit is getting released, like why you have to not only be super vigilant of these like fucking assholes and their like constant spewing of propaganda and shit, because it's like, yeah, keep an open mind. If you want to believe that Donald Trump would purposefully go out of his way to just like randomly insult black people for no reason, and like you know, insult Obama and Michelle Obama like that, like It's an obvious like AI like calculation, but it also says a lot about AI, doesn't it? Right, where AI went to the Obamas to choose the two. Were they even characters in the movie? Like that's the thing I'm like tripping out about. Like I think they were like customly put in just to mock them, though. If I'm not mistaken, because okay, to my knowledge, there's only like that one mandrill monkey, the guy who like held up Simba. I forget his name, and he's just like, yeah, this is circle of life, some shit like that, whatever. And then like, yeah, they just threw that in there to throw shade at like the Obamas. But like, for me to directly believe that it's Donald Trump, it's obvious that it's not, because when you look at the interview subsequently by both Melinda and Bill Gates. I don't think she's Melinda Gates anymore. I think she's just Melinda something. Especially Melinda, she was pressed actually, about if she knew of Bill Gates's proclivities and the acquiring of the STDs and subsequently taking of medication. She just smiled it off. And it was more than obvious that she wanted to say yeah, fuck yeah, but like she was under some kind of paid contract, some sort of NDA. And it was just like fucked. It was fucked because it was like, even if she told you, it was more than obvious that this was the case. Like the way that Jeffrey Epstein would like go through like the length of that, like, response to Bill Gates, and the idea that like you're emailing yourself is more like a Windows type thing, where like you're sending a mail and then like you get somebody who works for your company to redirect the address so it looks like you're sending it to yourself. Guilty as sin, man. Guilty as sin. And the way his like the wife's initial reaction to Melinda was just like, but like this is what I hate about these types of cowards, right? It doesn't matter how much, well, if to her it does, right? But I'm saying overall, it doesn't matter how much money you have, right? Even if you're not going to see any, justice for these victims, at least you could have done and say, hey, look, yeah, I did. And this guy's a fucking sicko. And like, yo, you should be investigated by like, a committee and stuff, a congressional committee. All these people need to see Congress and like, no, no, not just Congress, the Senate. They need to go in front of a Senate hearing. They're gonna be like cooked, man. Taking all that money, those foundations, charities, trips, you know, people being flown in, flown out of the country, all these people being taken pictures of, like they're being blurred, man. I'm getting pissed off about this, right? Like I shouldn't be so invested in politics, but I hate the cowards, man. I hate them. And we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about my racism and how, despite the fact that like I joke about it and like I try to pretend like it's a some kind of like cringy ass badge of honor. There's a fate that they say that you wouldn't wish upon, you know, your worst enemy, right? So I was reading like the Berserk manga, and there's this guy, and he's like the count, and then he was like torturing this guy, and then he eats his family in front of him, and he makes him watch. I'm like, yeah, that's one way, right? And that's like, obviously that's like a fictional story. Like, he's eating them as in like he's like some kind of like demon slug, right? Like, using the analogy of this like video game right here, to like, make a kind of comparison or something. But like, when you think about it, what can you really do that makes you a monster, like a huge ass monster that like, people will hate you forever? Because it's like, okay, I might be a little bit ignorant to like my Indian heritage, like what relic, what significant artifact that could have been taken from us, that would have been used to humiliate us. You know what I mean? And then like flaunt it in front of our faces for years to come. And then I'm like thinking about, what about Jewish people? What about Buddhists? Like for Buddhists, like I guess you could say they're monasteries or statues that have been around for like thousands of years, this and that, right? Native Americans, they're more sentimental. They're like the land and nature itself, so it's like the plants and animals. Like different people have different like significance. Like farmers have like the significance to the farms, right? And like I'm bringing all this like minutia up to like get to the like the horrifying hollow point that I'm making. And I do mean hollow because it's like I don't even know what the fuck to say about this. Like, could, could you consider me an enemy after what you've known now about Jeffrey Epstein, Saudi Arabia, the Qataris, most likely the like every single dictator, most likely he has like some sort of like something on. In fact, you know what? I'm just gonna come out and say this, and people are gonna like hate me for saying this because they're like one way or another about Gaddafi. I'm just gonna come out and say he most likely didn't have shit on Gaddafi because Gaddafi was just like rocking with his whole like his whole guard. His guards were made of women. Like, what do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna be like, "Hey, go to this pedophile island. We'll pretend to like guard you and like safeguard your life and treat you with respect and shit." Women are women, dude. Like you could put a gun in their hand. You could put a like a military uniform on them. The second you start like going to Jeffrey's Epstein Island, they're gonna put a gun to your head, dude. Yo, like Gaddafi's like him, Imran Khan, like you know what I mean? Like the guys that like got really fucked over by like people all around them and their governments and shit. And then they became subsequently like, for Imran Khan, like the former Pakistan prime minister, he used to be a cricket player. I don't know if he was actually pro. Guy looks like a fucking movie star. He's just like, yo, he's dealing with all these fucking inbreds and shit. They threw him in jail. They called him corrupt and all that stuff. And then like they brought I think a female prime minister, and then subsequently they also threw her in jail and this and that. Back in something of better times, but like not for like another fucking 50 to 100 years at least at this rate, right? But like all the other do 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 righteous politicians, especially the environmentalists, all because it's like it makes travel more expensive. It makes oversight more expensive when you think about it, right? And then when people's money is worth less, when it costs more to travel, then the world becomes more an enclosed space. You have like, satellite imaging, but like what does it actually mean now? Like is it 100% honest? Like now that we know that the source is corrupt, how do we proceed forward, right? So, before I get off point, like with Islam, right? And Jeffrey Epstein, the whole taking of their like holy relic and then turning it into a rug. It's a fate you wouldn't want to wish upon your worst enemy. Like there's no equivalent to that. There's no recovering from it. You must hate these cowards, these scum in perpetuity, forever and ever. They scar the entire world. You know, young people, the righteous, the unrighteous. It doesn't matter. We are all enemies.